So the last thing I want to talk about is technology and some of the Salesforce implications. There's a lot of different technology coming at you, sales and marketing technology coming at you. We see four of the bigger ones being mobile, something I'll call data analytics, something I'll call sales enablement, and cloud computing. And these are all very generic technology terms, so I'll try and explain them a bit. But mobile computing, probably the easiest, obviously, to understand is that end customers, distributors, manufacturers, technology suppliers, every day are coming out with tools your customer can use or your sales force can use, right on their handheld device. Has anybody developed your own app? That can be one. Two. Anybody else? All right, sold. But it's happening. Plus, your suppliers, you guys might be manufacturers, I don't know, but suppliers are beginning to develop apps that they're going to give to distributors that say, hey, here's something you can use. So, your salesperson can say, oh yeah, we got that in stock. Or the salesperson can say, we got that in stock, but now I'm being paid on net margin, and I'm not going to make as much money. I'm going to try and sell them something that has a higher net margin. Or a customer, for estimating, or all kinds of apps. So one implication for the Salesforce of the future is that they got to deal with customers who have their own apps, and we're going to have apps on mobile devices telling us, what's in stock, what margin, what are the technical specifications. So we're going to have more knowledgeable customers using mobile computing. Customers who say, well, why can't you tell me right now if that's available? They're going to put demands on your company and therefore on your sales force to tell me, I want information now. I've got so many other things. People are so busy. They're so used to, not to throw millennials into this again, but they're so used to immediate feedback now that if you're not providing it, they're going to be upset. Which, sidebar, gets to a lot of the work I said that we do is how do distributors and manufacturers work together. So if you're a distributor, you should be going back to your manufacturers and saying, look, this is happening. What are you developing that we can use? And if you're a manufacturer, you should be saying, hey, we're developing things. I want you to use them. So I think manufacturing and distributors, one of the things we don't talk about a lot is kind of what are some of the new tools coming down the road that either of us are using? How will we use them together? And how do we, is it something that customers are going to interact with or just you, the distributor? It also implies that your salespeople, either pushed by customers or your salespeople, again, I want to say your millennial salespeople, they're going to be saying to you, if you are the owner of a distributorship, I need content, inventory status, product specifications, schematic diagrams, a training video, whatever it is, a case study or something. Because I'm selling to someone in a hospital, I need a healthcare case study to show them we've done this before. Whatever it is, they need content that's ready for mobile, which could include video, as I just mentioned. So that's one implication. If we talk about data analytics, this is something I'm very hot on because I'm actually doing another project for NAED right now on data analytics. But you've all heard about this trend towards big data, right? And what do you do with big data? You got to analyze it. So the whole idea is that you could look first step at your ERP data as a distributor. You could look at your CRM data. So if you've got a CRM package and your sales force is typing information in about their customers, you could start looking at that, let alone third-party data, weather data or construction, FW Dodge type data. And, stuff from your website. Who's on your website? What are they clicking on? So all of this is generating huge amounts, let alone Internet of Things. Suppose the devices you sell start generating data and the customer shares them back with you. There's just streams of different types of data. Now, again, a lot of that's in the future. Most distributors, if they're doing anything, are simply looking at their own ERP data in a deeper way. So we got to start somewhere, crawl, walk, run. But that is, kind of the future vision. So the implications for data analytics are we're going to start having the capability to provide salespeople with more sliced and diced data. So back to the Forrester report that says you're going to need more consultative salespeople. This is one of the reasons why. So we're going to say, look, I want you to, either you should want to, or I want you to look at higher profit customers. I want you to prioritize your customers. Now we have the data to see who's our most profitable customer, or which industry is most profitable, or where do we have gaps? How come we don't call over here all that often? So you are going to start having more data. You're going to start giving that data to your salespeople. Are they comfortable using and making decisions and prioritizing based on that? And as I said, a lot of data drives the opportunity to sell services. So is your sales force ready to sell services? So that's another implication. I don't know how many people have heard of sales enablement before. I'm going to talk about it on the next page. Yeah, I better wrap up soon here. Let's see, so I'm going to talk about this on the next page, but sales enablement is software that either you as a distributor have or a manufacturer has that makes it available to those of you that are distributors, that says there's just a tremendous amount of information out here. Product spec sheets and training information, market trend information, case studies, all kinds of stuff. I mean, suppliers have like tens of thousands of different documents they could share with distributors. Distributors, you guys have all kinds of information. Sales enablement is a new class of software that tries to make it easy for a salesperson to get the information they need when they need it. Again, I'll talk about it on the next page. The key thing here is, in a way, I think it's going to make it easier for your salespeople to deal with the flood of different sales and marketing information available. Again, I'll talk about that more on the next page. Cloud computing, I kind of already talked about. The implication of cloud computing is that with all this data in the cloud, manufacturers and distributors are going to start developing apps so it's back to mobile again. But there's going to be, I can run on a laptop as well, but I mean, you need to start thinking about that as a distributorship, but from the Salesforce perspective, you need a sales team that's capable of using more software tools to support and sell customers. I said I'd talk briefly about sales enablement. Sales enablement is it's a class of software. There's a number of kind of small niche companies that are offering sales enablement. One that I deal with a lot, because we're from Chicago, another Chicago company is called Savo, S-A-V-O, but there are other companies as well. The whole idea is get the right information to the right person at both your salesperson and the customer level at the right time, without making them go do like an archaeological dig to find all the information. So make it easy. So you've got software out there that says we can take all of this content on the left here, so product information, customer history out of your ERP or CRM system, pricing information, current pricing, not old or outdated pricing or for SKUs that are no longer available, but so takes updated information. Because a lot of times a salesperson will go back into the office and find some sheet and they'll pull it out and they'll tell a customer, here, and it turns out that product's not available or it's the incorrect pricing, so, it's old pricing or something. So it takes it out of the computer system and it says, we're going to put it in the right format. So whether, in many cases, like a PowerPoint sales presentation, but it could be a video or other things, depending on the type of customer. So I saw one demo where salesperson simply gets in one of these sales enablement tools and it prompts them with 5 questions that have been set up. Is this a introductory meeting and mid-level information meeting, or is it a closed meeting? Which industry is it in? Tick off which products we're selling, and who are we selling to? Is it a contractor or industrial? Is it a user? Is it a technical specifier? Is it a purchasing agent? And all I do is click on the answers to those questions. Takes about 2 or 3 minutes. Behind the scenes, it builds a PowerPoint. So if they say it's, I'm talking with the CFO, we're 2 months into a deal that involves, CFO is probably not the best example. We're talking to an electrical specifier at a mid-sized contracting company on a job of this size involving the following major SKUs, and it's an introductory meeting, and it's for a hospital. It builds something where, because it's an introductory meeting, it starts off with a who we are slide. Because it's healthcare, it's got a healthcare case study in it. Because it involves these 5 major product categories, it's got a page each on what we offer in those product categories. It doesn't have any pricing because it knows it's a first meeting. So it literally builds the salesperson's presentation based on what the salesperson told them without the salesperson having to go collect all that. I mean, that would be an example of sales enablement, one example of sales enablement. So I just deep dive on that one because I thought it's probably one you're least familiar with. But again, the implication for your sales force is A, it makes it easier for your sales force to be a consultative salesperson. All right, so that's kind of the sausage making. Let's talk about the sausage itself. Let's talk about the scenarios. And that's, like I said, it was a tease at the beginning. I had to go through a lot of stuff to get you the scenarios. Well, what we did is we took all that information and we created a whole list of what we called factors. And we went to a number of people at the NAED, and I don't expect you to read anything on the left. I just want to blow you away with all the different factors we came up with. And we said, we want you to rate these different factors on how likely is this to occur. Just your guess. Is this, 1, highly unlikely, or 5, definite, absolutely going to occur, So if we said is the workforce going to be more diverse? People would say 5. Yeah, I mean, there's no argument. You just look at the demographics, it's going to be more diverse. If we said something like, will e-commerce drive more inside sales? There are opinions all over the place. And then we said, what's the impact? If it did occur, would it not matter? Or would it be a tremendous significant impact on the Salesforce model? And so we ranked all of those, we combined them, and we came up with a list of the top 10. We looked at all of them to build the scenarios, but I just want to show you the top 10 things. So the number one thing was we have to go to customers and introduce complex products, but particularly one of the things we asked about were more time-saving, lean types of solutions was one of the examples we'd come up with. And so they said, yeah, a lot of customers busy, they want us to package things, they're asking us to package things together, pre-configured, pre-assembled. We got to go out and tell customers what we've got available. So, I mean, I'm just telling you, that's the level of specificity we got to. That one got very high marks for importance and likelihood. Millennials want more information via mobile phones. The market for smart lighting is going to grow. Millennials will change jobs more frequently. Suppliers will deploy what I just talked about, some of these new sales enablement tools. Again, not that any of these things are, you hang your hat on any one of them. These are just factors that go into the making of the scenarios. Internet of Things is going to grow very fast. Improved CRM systems are going to provide a lot more information than they do today to salespeople. Selling complex products and solutions is going to be a much bigger part of what we do, which is we already saw the data on that. And that there's going to be a higher rate of retirement by our key salespeople, which we talked about in the demographics section. So those were all rated as likely to occur and very impactful if they occurred. So I won't go through all the process of how we used all this information, and we didn't just use these 10 things. I'm just saying those were the highest rated. But we used all the different variables and we came up with 4 different scenarios. So this is what I've been building up to. So the idea, again, remember, scenarios is all about, we have 4 scenarios. We're not trying to say one is more important or more likely. We want you to keep your eyes open that any one of these scenarios could happen. And we're going to give you some benchmarks or signposts that will tell you over the next 6 months or a year which of these really look like it's going to be, this is what's going to drive the scenarios. The scenarios are not mutually exclusive. They overlap to a bit. The key thing about the scenarios is what's the driving force behind the future sales model. In this first one, the driving force is the driving force is we're going to need a more sophisticated sales force. So it's kind of what I've been leading up to for some of my comments. The description is that the electrical market is going to be described by complexity. That's going to be what's going to happen over the next 5 years in this scenario. The products themselves, the selling technologies like sales enablement and those sorts of things, the Internet of Things, big data, all of those things. Customers are going to be coming at us with a lot more complex, at our sales force, with a lot more complex questions, requirements than they do today in this scenario. All of this means that the relationship selling that we've done in the past, dropping off a box of donuts, bringing them to a ball game sort of thing, is going to go, it's probably already got one foot out the door already, but I mean, it's going to go further away. Yes, we got to do account management. We've always had to do account management, but it's going to be replaced by the consultative selling necessary to deal with bigger projects, more complex products, solutions under this scenario. We may not need the same number of field salespeople because the simpler stuff will probably go to a website or inside sales, but I'm going to need the ratio of the salespeople I do have is going to shift from that Forrester example, from the order takers to the consultants. And so the strategy here is we need to have a better idea of what we mean by a consultative salesperson for your business and your customers. We need to create a model of what that means in our particular business. So how do you do a consultative sale? How do you do an Internet of Things sale or a smart lighting sale? What does that type of mean? Who are we selling to? We need to start recruiting a different type of salesperson, so we need a strategy around that. We need to develop the training because we're bringing in a lot of millennials, even though this isn't a millennial scenario, but it says we're bringing in a lot of younger people who may have the raw skills to do this, but not necessarily the specific skills to do this. We need to increase our investment in the technology necessary to be a consultative sales. We need to push our simpler, more commodity products to other channels like the website. And we need to add in MBOs in our compensation model that are targeted by, we're not just going to pay you based on the gross margin of the sale, that still be part of it, but there's going to be certain other objectives that might be 10 or 20% of your compensation that have to do with selling certain products or getting certified in a certain technology or other things that are not sales or gross margin related. So that's one scenario.